Welcome back to Savage Showdowns. This week we will be returning to the battle arena. This week in the battle arena, I will be giving my 2 cents on the viral question, what if 100 men fought a gorilla? But first, if you like this content, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It's free and it really helps the channel out. Also, just a heads up, no video next week. I have some personal stuff going on, so I won't be able to make a video. There should be one the following week. First, let's take a look at the gorilla, which for this video will be an eastern lowland gorilla. Size. These gorillas weigh on average between 331 and 461 pounds. They stand between 5 foot 7 inches tall and 6 feet 5 inches tall. For this fight, we will be using the higher end of the averages for these species, so not an outlier. Our gorilla will be 460 pounds and 6 foot 5 inches tall. I know they get larger, but for this purposes of this video, we won't be using one of those anomalous gorillas. Strength. These gorillas have a powerful bite force of 1300 psi, which is stronger than that of a lion, which is due to a large sagittal crest on their skull, allowing for lots of muscle attachment. Estimates for their more muscular strength range from 60 to 20 times stronger than the average person. The problem being almost none of these sources define what an average human can lift. A numeric number I found was that a gorilla can lift and at least partially throw around 1800 pounds. Most numbers I found said that an untrained person could lift between 155 and 185 pounds, deadlift, so this would make the gorilla 10 to 12 times stronger than the average man, which I think is a fair number to use. Speed. Gorillas have been clocked at speeds of 25 miles per hour for very short bursts. Stealth. While some gorillas can move quietly when needed, they aren't known for their stealth, relying on size and strength for defense. They are also naturally social and communicate with other members of their troop. Weapons and armor. For weapons, the gorilla has its bite force coupled with 32 large, robust teeth designed for chewing up dense plant matter. They also have particularly large and sharp canines. The bigger weapon, given the context of this fight, is their raw strength, which the gorilla will be relying on in order to deal with the large number of people. As discussed previously on this channel, gorillas are more or less glass cannons. They have incredibly high offensive abilities, but are lacking defensively. They do have robust skeletons, but, like us, they have tighter fitting skin, which is good for dexterity, but bad for wound prevention. While definitely more durable than humans, for their size, gorillas are strangely vulnerable to damage. The last factor will be intelligence. Gorillas are quite smart, being on par with a human in their teens. They can learn sign language and exhibit problem solving as well as reason. So how do people stack up? I will preface this section by saying that we will be using 100 men who will be assigned sizes based on averages and standard errors, since that divides up easily. The other factor worth noting, the men will have no weapons, having only their hands, teeth, feet, etc. And finally, the people will be briefed that this is a fight to the death. Either the gorilla dies or all of them do, and that will be made crystal clear before the fight begins. So with those rules set, let's look at the stats. Size. The average height for a human male is 5 foot 10 inches, weighing around 200 pounds. Using statistics, about 66 of the men will be between 5 foot 7 inches and 6 foot 1. 95 of the men will fall between 5 foot 4 and 6 foot 4, with the last 5 being taller or shorter than this. About 66 of the men will weigh between 170 and 230 pounds, 95 of them between 140 and 260, and the last 5 again falling outside of these new metrics. Strength. The average human can bite with a force of 162 psi, but this will likely not be a primary attack strategy against the gorilla, relying more on choking, punching, and kicking. Most statistics guess that an untrained man can bench 135 pounds, squat 125 pounds, and deadlift 155 pounds, though these numbers vary slightly, and I personally think most people can squat more than they can bench. However, just like there is variation with size, there is variation within strength. We won't go into as much detail, but just know the ranges above would vary based on body size, likely coming between around the bar for the weakest and smallest people to several plates for the strongest, with most people falling in the middle. Speed. The average human can reach speeds of up to 15 miles per hour for short bursts, but is able to maintain speeds in the 5 to 7 mile per hour range for a much longer time frame. Stealth. While humans can be stealthy, a group of 100 men has almost no chance of sneaking up on a gorilla. Weapons and armor. For weapons, all the people will have is their numbers, fists, teeth, kicks, teamwork, and the numeric strength values discussed above. In truth, we are not a very naturally equipped species in terms of physical weapons. In terms of armor, we have semi-robust skeletons, but our skin, like the gorillas, is prone to damage. We are not very durable to bites and claws, but we can take some blunt force. Our intelligence is our greatest strength. The humans could form a coordinated attack plan to go on. Since they get no prep time and could adapt in battle as needed. Teamwork and numbers are definitely humans' best tools in this fight. So those are our teams, but who wins? Let's find out. The door to our forested arena is open, and 100 men get pushed out. The gorilla is in the forest, becomes aware of the loud noise from the door's opening, and moves closer to investigate. Once closer, it hears the people long before it sees them. The people continue to scout the forest, unaware of where their opponent is. Suddenly, in a small clearing, they see the gorilla, who begins to beat his chest and slam his fists on the ground, and some people begin to get nervous. One guy shouts something along the lines of, "It's us or him," and charges in a sort of battle cry, with roughly 80 guys following him. However, as the first guy reaches the gorilla, it brings down its fist, crushing the man's ribcage with ease and a sickening crunch. At that sound, roughly 50 of the 80 people stop, and 10 of those start panicking dramatically. Of the 30 who are still charging, either from fear, arrogance, or the thought process of it's us or him based on the briefing they received, they make contact with the gorilla. They begin throwing punches and kicks as hard as they can in a sort of blind panic. The gorilla responds in kind, throwing fists, grabbing people, biting, and anything else it can do. The gorilla continues to break ribs and skulls and rip off limbs. Slowly, the 30 guys begin to dwindle. Then one guy jumps on the gorilla's back and calls for help from the bystanders, frozen in fear as they watch. At the sound of another person's voice, some of them are able to snap out of it and charge. Many others remain afraid. At this point, the gorilla has killed 6 people, and almost all others have been injured to varying degrees of severity. As the reinforcements show up, though, they begin to grab and restrain the large primate's arms. As they do, 5 or 6 guys go to an arm, and 1 or 2 less than that to each leg. People begin throwing punches, and one continues to try and choke the gorilla. As the people begin to gain an edge, others become less afraid and join the fight, further tipping the scales. Eventually, the gorilla is brought to the ground, where a barrage of fists and kicks wail down upon it, ultimately killing it. The final tally was 7 killed in combat, 8 succumbing to their wounds later after receiving little to no medical care, and 10 more having scars or permanent disfigurements, including maimings. Regardless, the 100 humans won. I feel the main error most people have in this fight isn't overestimating a gorilla or underestimating people. It's underestimating the number 100. 100 is a very large number, and while obviously some people would get scared and bailed, as long as enough people got into the fight, others would join as the humans began to claim an edge. Biologist Caleb Judd, who has a minor in primatology, estimated that 30 to 40 determined people would probably be enough to take down a single silverback gorilla. He cites that humans are better built for endurance than gorillas, and that 100 is simply too large a number for the gorilla, tiring quickly and succumbing to the humans as they begin to restrain its limbs with their higher numbers and naturally higher endurance. He does acknowledge that there would be casualties, but his estimate of 30 to 40 determined people seems like enough evidence that 100 people could round up the courage, even if not all at once, to tire out the gorilla and beat it. He also notes, however, that the gorilla would probably run from a group that large, further reinforcing the stance that the gorilla would lose. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance to this fight. Who are the people? How big is the gorilla? What is the scenario? Can they build weapons, etc.? But in the scenario I provided, I feel 100 people is more than a match for one lone male gorilla. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Feel free to suggest any future fights. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Savage Showdown.